Okay, so we did a weapon tier list, and now let's do a legend tier list. Again, this is going to focus on the power of these legends, specifically in the scenario of ranked and in the scenario of skill levels Diamond 4 and below. So the average populace rather than the highest 0.3% or whatever Masters is for an average season in Apex. So this tier list would be a lot different if we were focusing on ALGS or the highest level of Apex. So, first of all, Bangalore. This is a good legend, no doubt about it, but this is a legend that is difficult to use effectively at the mid-skill level. It's a legend that requires a lot of coordination and a legend that requires a lot of teamwork, and that's just not going to happen at this skill level. So we're gonna put the bang in the B tier. Okay, Bloodhound. Bloodhound is very strong. And as an individual contributor, during the ulti, being able to see through caustic gas, being able to see through bang smokes, and general speed is very useful. And then as a team contributor, those scans are very useful. Not only in ranked do they help you farm assists with your team, but they also help you find and eliminate rats for those extra KPs, which is helpful for climbing for sure. So with that said, we definitely have to put Bloodhound in the S tier. Next, Caustic. Caustic is a legend that can provide your team with a lot. Takes reduced damage with a big hitbox that is definitely not ideal, but with proper positioning and rat placement, it's very hard for anyone to push your team. Caustic is arguably a much better bunker upper than Watson in this skill tier because Watson's kit is generally not fully utilized. So that begs the question, does Caustic belong at the S or A tier? As far as the general coordination of a team like this, given that Caustic's kit isn't used as effectively as it would be in a higher skill game, I believe Caustic belongs in the A tier rather than the S tier. Okay, Crypto. Again, Crypto would, at a high skill tier, be very good, probably S tier. However, in a game where it's very hard to coordinate with your teammates, giving them information is not nearly as valuable as you being in the fight in this type of instance. And coordinating ults to do full team pushes is all very difficult. Therefore, I think Crypto falls all the way down to the C or D tier, probably even the D tier. Gibraltar. Gibraltar offers so much to a team, especially on a map like Olympus, giving you free rotations on the Trident. Takes no damage if you use the right guns. The G7, the triple take, anything that can utilize his shield, he's an absolute monster. I think he goes at the S tier, no questions asked. Not to mention his ult is definitely useful for some late game situations or simply for zoning purposes. Horizon. Horizon is busted. At this level, I think at the very highest level of Apex, she may not be that good, but that remains to be seen. I think she's still going to be used on some teams, but she might not be that common. But for this, the fact that she can use her Qs so liberally, you're basically always positioned well with Horizon. Not to mention, it's incredibly strong for helping your team rotate and getting yourself out of sticky situations. You can basically use your Q as a bunny hop in order to med while you're moving around. You can strafe to get out of a lot of dangerous scenarios. Plus, you always have the high ground, which is insanely valuable. And then her ult. Her ult admittedly is bad in most cases, but in some fringe scenarios, it's super strong. So to have something where in some scenarios the ult is really going to shine, that is very valuable, and that's definitely going to help you pick up some KP as you're climbing the ranks. So definitely an S tier legend, and arguably I would say the best legend out of these three in this current season 7. Lifeline. Now, Lifeline would probably be rated very high on most tier lists, but I think that she, despite her res being strong, I don't think the rest of her kit helps her team out that much. And in most cases, the fact that she's picked off so easily, unless you're playing very defensively on this character, the reses are not going to be that valuable. There's going to be some fringe scenarios where they are. But most teams, if they knock you and they see you have a lifeline, are going to full send on you. And your res is not going to be that effective anyway. So we're going to put her, she's definitely stronger than Bangalore. But I wouldn't put her in the same category as Caustic. So B tier down here. Loba. Loba can be good for getting your ideal kit, especially for players that do not have a very diverse set of guns that they've mastered. Having said that, she doesn't offer very much to her team. The fact that she gives ammo does help because shots are not being hit nearly as much, and so the ammo is getting burned through. But in general, she just doesn't offer very much in terms of combat ability or team utility. So we're gonna put her here at C tier. She might be close to B tier, but I think that's reasonable. Next is Mirage. Mirage is a legend that's going to be very effective in terms of bamboozle at the average skill tier. Also a legend that can offer, some decent utility with invisible reses. Definitely not as good as Lifeline, but probably more useful than Bangalore. Right there in the middle at the B tier. Octane. There's not much to say about Octane. Very fun legend to play, but by far the worst legend in Apex right now. You can bunny hop while medding. You can tell the whole server where you are whenever you want to increase your speed. And your ult is garbage. Horizon is better by far than the jump pad. It's not an ultimate, it's spammable every 15 seconds. So yeah, I think Octane definitely needs some love. The fact that he regens health is convenient, but definitely not something that's going to help you that much in a ranked competitive setting. Pathfinder. It's so sad because this used to be such a very high S tier legend. But the fact that Horizon exists as just a much better Pathfinder now in terms of comparable utility to the team, and the fact that the grapple cooldown is still very, very long, plus the most important fact that Pathfinder is so tall and big and the hitbox is big, he just gets shredded. If you're trying to fight and in a lot of scenarios up close, your head is popping out of whatever cover is there. So Pathfinder, I think, still strong, no doubt, but probably belongs somewhere around here. Probably, ahead of Mirage, but unfortunately B tier at this time. Ramparts, a legend that can provide some utility, but in general doesn't provide very much to the team. And yeah, that's really what it comes down to. It doesn't provide much to the team. Close between C and D tier, probably worse than Loba and the C tier, but definitely better than Crypto and Octane. Watson. Watson is a worse crypto, or it's not crypto, is a worse caustic currently, but she's still quite strong. The big issue is that the Jhin, people aren't, landing, getting minimal loot, taking early rotations, bunkering up in a good area, and using the Jhin to regen armor. That just doesn't work in this type of meta. Teams are full sending on each other. So it's just, Watson's kit is very underutilized. You're probably better off simply having a caustic. Is she still strong? Yes. For sure she's still strong. But, she's probably around the B tier with these legends, and probably slightly worse than Lifeline, but definitely better than Pathfinder. Okay, Wraith. On a map like Olympus, right? We're gonna assume the Olympus split here of Season 7. Her ports are not quite as useful because you have other means of rotations, right? You've got the, especially if you've got like a Gibraltar, you can use the vehicles to get around. Having said that, she's so hard to hit. She has a pretty strong get out of jail free card, and her port is still very clutch, not only for getting around, but for occasionally saving knocked teammates when they otherwise would get thirsted. Definitely an S tier legend. Very hard to rate here in terms of relative ability to these. Probably slightly. It's very hard to compare these because it just offer different utility to the team. But let's say around here. Finally, Revenant. Obviously fantastic ults. It's nice to shut down enemy abilities. This extra scaling is not very relevant, especially in a Horizon meta. And the crouching movement is probably not being utilized near to its full potential. So, that said, still very strong. Close between A and B tier, I think. Probably falls again below Lifeline, but ahead of Watson. So that completes the legend tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments, especially if you disagree with something. Is there a legend you think should be at the top that's not? And is there some compelling reason that I missed? The only thing I can think of that I didn't mention was for Horizon, which is already at the top, the fact that she doesn't get slowed nearly as much when falling from things. That is very useful and not a passive ability to look over. So hope you enjoyed, and let me know what you think.